He's unrideable.
Hey everybody, welcome back. This is now this next day, and we've kind of went through basically the same warm-up with him. He's been good, everything's been going pretty good. What we're gonna add into the part 2 here today is accepting the human above him and testing out some pre-flight checks, okay? So we're gonna start off with getting him to accept the human. Now, whenever there's something that a horse is kind of innately scared of, the goal is to set it up in a way where you're releasing the horse to that position. So what I'm gonna do is on the ground here, I'm gonna be a little bit noisy. I'm gonna kind of wave my hand at him. You can see this has him a little bit bothered. Now I'm not actually gonna touch him with anything. And so as I go with this, he should get a little bit desensitized to it, and that's okay. That's kind of what I'd like him to do. So I just want him to get used to kind of me. You don't need to do this with a flag or a stick and string if you have a horse that's as sensitive as Scout here is. So just gonna put a little pressure on here, okay? He's getting a little bit more settled into that. So now I'm gonna bring him over here to the stairway to heaven, the mounting block here, which is nice and tall, and we did that on purpose. Gonna try to land the stirrup right on it. I'm just gonna lead him into position. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and climb up here. You see him get a little tight and kind of head come up there. And so I just want him to get comfortable with me being here. And I'm gonna start off by being pretty quiet here, and then I'm gonna gradually get to where I can kind of move around him, kind of wave, pet him all over. Now you see some horses tied up here in the background. This is what we're doing, if you didn't see already in the previous video, we're doing a horse development week where we got 10 horses in, and a lot of people I don't think spend enough time teaching their horses to stand tied at the rail. And so that can be an important thing. And some of the horses get upset when we take the horse next to them in here, and so that's kind of a reason that we might put them in here to be tied. So anyways, you're seeing a few horses kind of getting used to being tied here. There, you gotta see him drop his head. See how his expression is different now? See if we shake the saddle. Kind of put a little weight in the stirrup here. I got him a little bit, what's going on there? And you know, you can kind of take the mystery out of are they rideable or not by just looking at what are their behaviors with you on the ground or in these different positions. If they're getting a little bothered and their head's coming up, you know that there's still some preparation work that we can do to kind of get them ready. So his ears are forward there, he's looking around, he's not hyper focused on me. And I'm not just looking for him to accept me there, I'm looking for him to get sweet on having me there. That's kind of that next level of it. Now I do need to tighten up my cinch here. He's only had the saddle on a few minutes here. There we go. I need to kind of come back and make sure that's good. Now I was told that he had some trouble accepting the saddle, and so far for me that has gone pretty smoothly here. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and push him around again. Again, I'm gonna kind of wave at him here. Again, this is just about him accepting the human, getting comfortable. Hey, would you guys like to see more detailed training videos that show you step-by-step how to train your horse and work through common issues? We have a huge video library on my Patreon page, as well as dropping new videos every week. You can also send me a message on there and get questions answered about your horse. You can even send videos for me to coach. So it's a really great value at just $10 a month. Next January, it's gonna go up to $20 a month for all that. So if you wanna get in now for $10, make sure you get signed up, and I'll look forward to seeing you on there. Might even get in here a little bit closer. I'm gonna kind of pull and release on this lead rope part here. I don't want him to learn to lean on it. And I got the snaffle on him here because he's already used to that. They did some long lining with him, and that will be a safer thing to ride a horse that's a little nervous with for the first time. I also kind of want to set everything up as the same as I would if I was finally ready to step on him. You know, I don't want to do something different the day I decide to ride him compared to the other days. Now, the day I decide to ride him would be a day where he's giving me all green lights. He's not getting, he's accepting the saddle, he's accepting pressure, he's accepting the human being around him. And that's what this step is. Releasing him here to the mounting block and accepting the human. Now, this is one thing that I kind of learned to do this technique from working with Mustangs. Mustangs get really sensitive with the humans being in different places around them. You know, usually they accept you more right in front of them, and then we kind of spend a lot of time sitting around on fence panels, getting them used to things being above him. Practice putting a little weight in the saddle here. Just kind of going through the deal. There's a lick and chew, that's nice. You know, I want to be able to fidget around up here. I want to be able to move my ropes. I want to be able to put weight in the stirrups. Just going to put my tippy toe in there. So if he decides to leave. Very good. Now I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and switch sides here. A lot of times horses can be a little bit better on one side than the other. So I just want to go ahead and test out the other side, just in case this side is way worse than that side. So come out here, change my lead rope. And again, I'm just waving at him like, "Hi, Scout, I'm happy to see you today." You know, I'm not trying to make him go faster or anything. If he wanted to walk while I do this, that'd be okay. But at the same time, I don't mind if he trots a little bit. Because the idea is this is hot lava right here, and then I'm going to release him with me being by the mounting block. That's the name of the game. Okay? So I'll go ahead and we'll take him up, put him in position over here. Good, he's handling this pretty well. Very nice. So by doing this a few times in a row, it creates a pattern that he can kind of settle into. And that's the name of the game right here. Getting him comfortable. So I'm gonna do this one more time, and if it goes well, then I'll start going through some of my pre-ride checks. But you can see how this would be something important. You know, it teaches him to be mounted well, but really good for making sure he's accepting all of this. Very good. All right, so I'm happy with that. So what we're gonna do now is move along here to some pre-ride checks. So one of my pre-ride checks is, can you stand in front of the horse or along the side and throw the lead rope over him? You know, I don't want him to get scared of the rope swinging around him, so I like to test that. And then I usually like to take this rope and put it all the way around them and see kind of how well they find their way out of that. Very good. So he did that well. Now that one was around his hip. This time I'm going to put it just more around the back of the saddle. It's a little bit tighter, a little bit harder. Now if you're doing this with a horse for the first time, I would recommend that you kind of hold this part here and then just tip their nose away from you and kind of take the slack out and then hold it. Because otherwise they can kind of get a little bit too bound up and then kind of run backwards. Or they can start to rotate before you're actually ready to ask them for that move. Good boy, Scout. Okay. Same reason we did both sides of the mounting block. Whatever you do on one side of a horse, you want to do on the other side. We're going to test this a little harder here. We're going to put this around the saddle horn. So this simulates a little bit more of the rein position where it's a little more vertical. You know, if we only put the rope way down here, it's like when you're riding a horse, you don't reach with your hand down here. You would kind of lift up on it or bring it out. So you want him to kind of get prepared for that. Let's go ahead and do that one more time. When a horse that's more sensitive like him, I like to be thorough and use a little bit more repetition just to help with the idea of building in relaxation. So this is less about understanding and more about getting him comfortable with it. Okay. Now I'm going to grab another rope here, and the next thing we're going to do is see if we can get him a little more comfortable with stirrups. So this kind of, again, is an exaggeration of the rider's leg position, you know, and could he get comfortable? And you don't want to be shy about this. You don't want to underexpose them. You know, I'm not trying to deliberately scare them a lot. But I'm going to let that stirrup kind of bang on him a little bit and just bounce there. You know, because I don't want to have my leg accidentally touch him on the side and have that really bother him. Good. So he's handling that really well. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw my rope up and over, and I'm going to come around to this side here. And this way is a little bit harder here, because now that offside's going to move. So I'm just going to pull and release on that rope. So you can see that bothered him a little bit there. And I'm going to go ahead and switch my lead rope here to the snaffle. Good, he recovered pretty well. But you can see there's still some goosey spots in there. But that's why we're doing the pre-flight checks. There we go. So now he's letting me work that stirrup, and he's coming down to a walk, so we'll let him walk there. Good boy. So the idea is that recovering equals relief. Getting scared does not equal relief. So go ahead and switch the stirrup to the other side. You know, usually I kind of base a horse's level of difficulty not so much on how big their reaction is initially. I judge it a little bit more on what it takes for them to recover from something. You know, and also based on, you know, how much experience that horse has. And so I'm relatively happy with how quickly he recovered from that. I thought that was pretty good. But you can see now he's a bit tight. Now bear in mind, this horse has had over a year plus of training. And so it's taken a long time to get to this point. Now it's interesting is when he gets a little worried, he got very heavy on this lead rope. It took a lot of pressure there to get him to come off of it. So that's something to kind of take mental notes of, because whatever you're experiencing on the ground, usually when you're on their back, it gets even harder because they're usually a little bit more afraid of us above them than they are with us on the ground. So same thing here, gonna work it from this offside. There we go. That's pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is do a little bit of lateral flexion, let him wind down just a little bit, and then I'm going to try to release him to me stepping up and down on the stirrups. So I'd like to have him be a little bit easier to flex laterally. There's a little stiffness there because there's a little tension there. So one of the things that I'll take a mental note for tomorrow is to spend a little more time doing the lateral flexion here.